Hey guys, today we're doing a how to build your own terrarium build. So for today's build, we're using this little glass thing, this little glass container, and the reason there's some rocks on the bottom right here is to act like a false bottom. Now a false bottom is a drainage area where water can go because we don't want too much of the soil so that it doesn't get soaked in mold. So the drainage area, this false bottom, is going to absorb some of that water and just help. So that's why the rocks are in there, but so that there's a little barrier between the soil and the rocks, we're going to add a little bit of this mesh right on top. So this is our mesh, and we're just going to tuck it right in there. Make sure you pat down the sides so that you can't see it through the glass walls. So now that that's in there, we're going to need some soil. Okay guys, now we're here in my front yard, and what we have here is this all-natural raised bed and potting mix. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some of this, and we're just going to put it in our little glass jar. Now we don't need too much just because it isn't a very large terrarium. I'd say anything above 20 gallons is a pretty large terrarium. So this is what we're using for our little potting mix, and that's the soil right there. So now we're going to go to air to get the plants. Hey guys, we're here in the air woods, and we still have our jar, and what we're going to do to this soil is we're going to make a slope. So we're just going to kind of slope it up towards the back like that. That gives it a little more background. Now what we did along the way here is we collected these dead leaves. So what we're going to do is just absolutely demolish these, just crush them up. And we're going to put these in the soil, and you'll see why later. So we actually need a few more leaves. So I'm just going to look around, grab a few, and then just crush them up. So now that we have all our crushed leaves, we're going to just put them in the soil. So we're going to mix that around in the soil, take out some of the bigger chunks, and then make our slope back. And there. Now we also have a pine cone. What we're going to do with this is just take off some of these little thingies and drop them in there. And you'll see all of why this later. And we also collected this little plant, and we'll put that in later. So now we're going to move here, where we can find some beautiful luscious moss. So this moss right here, I'm just going to take only as much as we need, just pull up a little bit of it. And we're going to put this just right there in our terrarium. It's kind of like grass, it'll act as our floor. And if we want to add a little bit of extra texture, you can just look around, find a different species of moss like this one, and add in a little bit of that. Or we could break off a piece of this branch. Now we're just going to add this little piece of moss to right here in this corner. And that's just going to add a little texture difference. Now we're going to add our little plant, and she'll go right here. Now we can just grab a little extra soil from beautiful Mother Nature and add that and pack it around the plant just to make sure she's secured into the ground. now we're gonna move up to the actual park itself and grab some stuff. Hey guys, now we're here at the actual park. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna find a couple of other plants, look for some rocks. Now there should be some rocks around here. We're also gonna find a nice little stick, like this one, to put in our terrarium. So we just broke up that stick a little bit, and what we're gonna do is break it up a little bit more. So it's really little, like this, and we're just gonna put that in our terrarium. Now we're gonna find a little rock to go right here to add some more texture and color difference in the terrarium. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna look on the ground, find a rock, like maybe this one. So now we're just gonna tuck our rock right here in between our first plant and our moss. So just gonna put a little rock right there. Now we have our rock, our stick, our first plant, and our moss. Now we're gonna find another plant to go here, and then just find some other stuff. Now we're here at a different place in the park where there are some better plants. So we're just gonna come down here, and we're gonna grab one or two of these little plants. Now that one didn't come out, it's great. So we're just gonna grab another one right here. So now we have our little plant. Now that we've gathered up a couple of plants, we actually already planted one. We're just gonna pull off some of these dead leaves, and you see we've bundled up the roots into this little thing. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our little stick, make a hole in the ground right here, and plant it. So we're just gonna stick that little bundle of roots in our hole, and there we go. So now we're gonna head back home to show off our brand new terrarium. So now that we're back home, what we're gonna do is spray our plants with just some normal old house water, just because they're probably a little bit dehydrated since we just moved them to a new space. So we're just gonna spray our whole terrarium. Now this terrarium, I could close it up for 40 years. I could open it back up and it would be 100% fine. So what we call these terrariums are self-sustaining terrariums. So how I was saying the leaves in there earlier, I'll explain those later. That's what we're gonna do right now. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna add a cleanup crew is what I like to call it. And that's just gonna consist of dairy cow and just your normal roly-polies that you find in your backyard. So what we're gonna do is, I actually breed dairy cow isopods over here. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna come over here into my isopod bin. And we're gonna open this up, and we're actually, hang on, we're gonna grab this little thing. We're gonna pile up a bunch of isopods in there, and then put them back in there. And they will eat all of those leaves as food, because they eat dead and decaying matter. So those leaves will serve as their food source. And they'll also, so here, look. Roly-poly. And we're also gonna grab some jumper bugs. I forget what they're called. I don't remember. Just gonna put some of them in. Oop. What we're gonna do over here is we're just gonna find some isopods. Now that we've got our cleanup crew, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna put these in there. Don't seem to want to be coming out right now. Got one little straggler. Now, we're going to close our terrarium. Actually, here it is. This is our nice new terrarium. Now we're just going to close that up, and boom, this is our terrarium.